Want to be part of the biggest service design event of the year? The Service Design Global Conference 2025 takes place October 15th to 17th in Dallas and online, and we're giving you the chance to win 2 free online tickets. All you need to do is sign up to our Design Compass newsletter to learn how in the coming weeks. You'll find the link right there in the show notes for this episode. Don't miss 3 days of fresh ideas, hands-on strategies, and global connections. Check the show notes, sign up, and you could be joining SDGC 25 online.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of This Is HCD. My name is Gerry Scullion and I'm a human-centred service design practitioner based in the beautiful city of Dublin, Ireland. And today on the show we've got a really special episode for you. We've done something that we've never done before. We have a 6-person podcast that was recorded recently live in Dublin city centre in house for anyone who's from Dublin. And it's something like we've never done before, as you said, because you're going to hear from a group of remarkable people whose lives have been shaped by addiction, crime, prison and recovery. Now, some of the stories you'll hear involve crimes that left lasting pain for victims and families. And we want to be absolutely clear before you listen to this episode that we do not condone crimes in any shape or form. But what we are exploring here is the possibility of change, of rehabilitation and of second and even third and fourth chances in life. It's a remarkable one. Now, joining in this episode is Senator Aubrey McCarthy, one of the driving forces behind Tiglin, an organisation in Ireland that provides life-changing recovery programmes for people trapped in cycles of addiction and homelessness. Now, sitting beside him on the episode is former District Court Judge Gillian Hussey. Now, one of the first female judges in Ireland's criminal courts, and Judge Hussey once sentenced one of the women in at that very table that you're going to see to prison, and yet today they sit together as equals, reflecting on what compassion and justice really looks like. We talk about recidivism, we talk about lots of interesting facts, and I've wanted to ask some questions to a judge actually just around what the metrics are for success for judges in the criminal situations. Now, you'll also hear from Ruthann, now a sports and wellbeing coach and a strong advocate for women in the justice system. You'll hear from Bronagh, who leads social inclusion with homeless communities, Edie, who guides women through treatment and recovery, and Jenny, who supports families healing alongside loved ones in addiction recovery. This is a conversation about trauma, stigma and systemic failings, but it's also about hope, dignity and the extraordinary resilience of people when they're given the right support and the right ecosystem. There's 3 key takeaways in this, okay? First one is trauma and the environment that plays a huge role in shaping lives. But connection and community and the right interventions can break cycles of addiction. I'm going to talk about compassionate justice and how it has the power to transform outcomes. And Judge Hussey's story shows just what happens when people are seen as humans first. Last one, the last key takeaway for me is recovery is possible. And not just surviving, but thriving, finding joy, purpose, and really becoming advocates for others. If you enjoy this episode, please do take a chance to subscribe, share the episode with somebody who might benefit from hearing it, and leave us a review using the link in the show notes. It's one of the best ways for you to keep in touch with everything that we do here at This Is HCD. Again, a big shout out to Alan Bobenak as well, who was key in setting this episode up. It's a remarkable one. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's jump straight in. Folks, I'm delighted to have you here. Very warm welcome to an episode of This Is HCD. Maybe we'll start off by introducing ourselves, just a short name and what you do, and we'll start with Mr. Senator Aubrey McCarthy.
So my name is Aubrey, and I've helped set up an organisation called Tiglin many years ago with the inspiration of Judge Gillian Hussey, who's beside me. And today we're meeting up with women who are advocates for people in addiction. They're peers in society, and I think I'm excited about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Gillian?
I'm Gillian Hussey. I was a district court judge, one of the first women judges to be sent to the criminal courts, and I learnt a lot.
I'm sure you did. We're going to learn a lot more today.
And I met a lot of these ladies, yes, as young ladies.
Fantastic.
So I'm Ruthann. I work for Dublin City Council and NEIC as a sports and wellbeing coach, and I also work with Department of Justice, probation, PACE, and in the criminal justice sector.
Brilliant.
And I'm a massive advocate for women who have went through the criminal justice system.
Fantastic.
My name's Bronagh McBrien. I'm currently working with T. Glynn. I was given the opportunity at the start of last year to come on board and develop a role, a social inclusion role covering the South Dublin, Wicklow area. So I've developed that role. It's up and running now, and it's been such a huge benefit to the cohort of homeless people that I work with, the hospitals, the services, and T. Glynn as well. I've a lived experience, so it's an area I'm very familiar with. I've worked in homeless services for many years, and now I have the privilege of being able to set tables like this with people and make more of a difference and more of an impact rather than just helping all the time, just actually be a voice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great to have you here.
Hey, my name is Edie. I work in the Lighthouse. I'm the Community Employment Supervisor, but I also do assessments and care plans for women going into treatment. And I run through two groups, two pre-entry groups, one for the men and one for the women. And them groups is to prepare them for Tigglin. It's giving them all the information, what to expect when they go in, and then see where they're at. And then if they need any further support as well, it's a place for them to come and feel support.
Brilliant. Great to have you here, Edie.
Thanks.
Hey, my name is Jenny. I've also come through the Tigglin programme. I now work for family support in Tigglin. So what that entails is I'd have the family support phone. We hold family support meetings because this isn't only a journey for us. This is for families. Families need to heal as well. It's a long journey, and it's so rewarding when you go in and you sit in their meetings, and families are there, and it's an amazing job. So I love what I do. Yeah,
It's brilliant to have you here. I'll start off with Aubrey. The first question, when we spoke there a number of weeks at Leinster House, we were talking about why this is so important to have these conversations. Typically I do a podcast and I might interview any one of you at this table one-on-one, but the power of the collective is something that I'm really interested in. But I'd love to understand a little bit more why you feel that this story should be shared like this.
I grew up with addiction in my own family. I know how addiction can be like a grenade. It's thrown into the family home, everything gets thrown apart. Your parents, your kids, your education, your health, everything. So that inspired me to help set up Tigglin. I met this amazing woman, and we always slag each other. She's an amazing sense of humour. She's a wicked sense of humour. But I will say, Judge Gillian tells everybody I met her on Tinder, and that's not true at all.
Here we go again.
Cafe on sound. But I will say, what she inspired, she spoke one night 20 years ago when I was in Clontarf Castle, and she spoke about we need to do more as a society. And she had another girl with her called Gillian, who had been through the prison system, the court system, and Gillian gave her a chance and nearly mentored her. And that woman today is, kicking the ball out of the park. I thought that was unusual. I approached Judge Gillian and I said, I want to help. I want to see what we can do. And they were the green shoots for Tigglin. But recently, a couple of weeks ago, we all went to dinner in Leinster House with Judge Gillian. And I don't think Jennifer was there because she hasn't got good table manners, but the rest of you were there. And I will say, it showed me that these women are inspirational. So not only did it start with an inspiration, but every one of the women that I met that have come through Tigglin, that have appeared before the bench, these girls are advocate peers, and they are absolutely inspiring.
Gillian, your name has been mentioned the most so far in the podcast. Talk to me a little bit more around your experience with women in addiction in this country.
Well, I started off not with women in addiction or anyone in addiction. I hadn't a clue.
Right.
I remember I had a daughter of 14 when I was appointed to the bench. But I was appointed to the bench on the civil side.
Okay, yeah.
Ladies didn't do crime, and certainly ladies did not go into the criminal courts. And the only recollection I have as a law student of criminal work was it had a book with a red cover. And what was in that book, to this day, I haven't a notion. Because it wasn't going to bother me because women didn't do crime. And about 2 years after I was appointed on the civil side, my president, who unfortunately is dead many, many years, because I'd love to have asked him a question which I hadn't the intelligence to ask him at the time. What the hell made him send me over to the Bridewell? Because it was a terrible, terrible chance. Yeah. And it turned out to be, as far as I'm concerned, a rip-roaring success.
Right.
Because I learnt so much from the people who stood before me.
And how long were you in Bridewell? How long were you...
I was about a year or so in the Bridewell. Now, I had 2 male colleagues. And they didn't like me because I didn't lock them all up. Lock them up, lock them up, lock them up was their motto. And at that stage, I have to tell you this because it's true, but the judges were just about getting used to each other and they were having what they called lunches together. And I went to lunch with these 2 judges twice, and on both occasions, one of them, the one that was married to an ex-nun, started to grope me.
Okay.
Grope me, he groped me on both occasions. And I, to this day, have never been to a lunch with the district judges or any judges ever since. Right. Because I didn't think that was the place that I should be.
Gerry, can I just say, at that time, you were a maverick because women judges weren't the norm.
Absolutely.
Oh, they weren't, no. Oh, they weren't the norm. But that's what women were for, to be groped. And I wasn't going to be groped, so I didn't go to lunch.
Yeah, I understand. So if we just look at that from the addiction perspective, when we look at, I guess, Tiglin's role within the justice system.
Well, now, Tiglin came after that. I should say that when I went on the criminal side, I had a daughter of 14. And she said to me, "But come into Grafton Street any Saturday and you can smell the drugs." But I said, "I know nothing about drugs." Anyhow, she didn't realise I hadn't a sense of smell anyhow.
And what period would this be? Would this be in the 80s?
It would have been in the 80s. Well, it would have been
a huge recession.
It would have been in 85. Anyhow, the 2 judges who didn't like me had great friendship with the new judge of the district court, president of the district court, and they persuaded the new president to send me out of the Bride, take me out of there, for heaven's sake, take me out of there. So he sent me up to the Kilmainham court, which actually was a busier court than ever. And I spent the rest of my days in Kilmainham, and I learnt so much, and I met so many people, and including this girl Gillian, whom I met actually about 2 weeks ago. Lovely, and she's turned out to be a lovely, lovely, lovely girl. Yeah. And she was a total alcoholic at the age of 17. Right. And she was always being brought into the court. And I dealt with her without putting her in custody. But anyhow, this particular day, I was coming up to my retirement, but I didn't tell her that wasn't her business. And it was about 3 weeks from my retirement, and her mother came up this aisle and she came up the other aisle attached to a guard. She was in custody. And the mother was roaring, crying, "Please, please do something with her." I said, "Okay, I will." And I turned to the mother and I said, "Well, I'll tell you what," I said, "for the next 7 days and 7 nights, you'll know where she is." And I turned to Madam and I said, "And Madam, you will be in the women's prison for 7 days and 7 nights. You can tell me what it's like." So 7 days later, she came back and said, "I'm going to change my life." Well, I said, "It's entirely up to you. It's not up to me."
Yeah. Can I ask a question? So what role, and this is for everyone at the table here, what role did environment, relationships and circumstances play in the addiction process? I'd love your perspective on this as well, Gillian, maybe after some other people can answer. You've experienced lots of people over the years that come in front of you. I'd love to get your perspective, but maybe I'll put it to some of
I actually grew up with Gillian.
Did?
The Gillian that you're speaking about, yeah, and I met her a couple of weeks ago and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and then she was so happy to see me coming through Tighlin because we would have all drank together and partied together, and yeah. So, small world.
You know that other Gillian?
I do, yeah.
But going back
Role
to...
has a massive part to play
Yeah.
Which one?
in your environment that you grow up in.
Yeah.
Because if there is, they say that addiction doesn't come through genes, it comes through different factors of your environment and the trauma that you endure.
Yeah.
So if you're coming from an environment that there is alcoholism and there is addiction and there is abuse in different forms, well then there's a higher factor that you might go into addiction, not in all cases.
Yeah. It can play a role.
Yeah, it can play a massive role.
What about...
I often found, Gerry, just from talking to different people that have done the Tighlin programme, you're dealing with a guy, let's say, I remember one guy, he was the top criminal on the East Coast. That's what the papers used to say. And so when he came into Tighlin, I wanted to meet him and have a coffee. So we sat down, and he was now 27, 28. And I wanted to know what makes this guy so hard and so difficult to deal with. And it turns out his father had been killed in a car crash. He was 6 years of age, 7. And his mother started to drink heavily. And so she then had different guys coming into the house. He was 6, 7 years of age. They used to come in and shout, roar, maybe give him a clatter, and he used to wet the bed. So his mother used to come home and check whether he wet the bed after the pub, after she'd come home from the pub. If he did, she'd get his face and wipe it around the inside of the toilet bowl, okay? Now you've got a kid who's 7, 8, 9, growing up with this. And what he used to do is he used to get his school bag and his school uniform, and when the mum used to come into the house at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, he used to get out the window and walk around the local town until school started in the morning. So now you've got a kid who's 27 years of age coming into rehab, but you've got the 7, 8, 9-year-old kid whose environment and trauma and connections gave him no hope. So therefore he ended up in addiction. And I think we've discussed this. Edie deals with people, Bronagh, every day of the week, who have come from environments whereby they had never an opportunity, no direction. And also relationships can be terrible. If you're a fella, he starts using gear, starts using drugs or whatever, it can often be an avenue. Would that be fair to say?
We are often a product of our environment. Like I would have came from a violent background, and there was alcoholism, and like that when my sister was killed, I suppose the dynamics of the family completely changed.
Yeah.
You know, we changed as people, my parents changed of who they were.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't the same people after my sister. It was a traumatic event, and not long after that I start, you know, experimenting in different things like Tipex tinners in school, and then it progressed through the years.
Yeah.
But it was to deal with all that pain and suppress all that.
100%.
You know,
What I'm hearing though, and it's from my work in Australia as well, when people fall into addiction, it's they're asking for help. Like they're asking for a service there to really provide that care.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the punitive nature of government, they're not able to provide it. They just don't provide it. It's very much like you've done a crime, straight into somewhere that's potentially worse.
so that is actually slightly changing at the moment, because I'm part of doing that. So I'm someone with lived experience of the criminal justice system. I also came up in front of Judge Gillian Hussey as well.
What was she like? Come on.
See, I had heard so... Sorry, Gillian. Sorry, Gillian. I had heard so much about her before I went up, and I was actually terrified. I was terrified.
What did you heard at that point?
She had a huge reputation.
That she, like, was harsh, like, could be harsh, you know, and I suppose, as he said, a maverick. You know, there wasn't women judges, but she did give me the opportunity to get into a treatment place, but there wasn't availability at that stage. So I did end up getting onto a treatment program.
Was this
in
pre-Tiglan?
methadone.
This is pre-Tiglan.
Yeah, methadone program. So
where was that? Who owned that program?
It was a methadone program in Amiens Street. It's still there. It's a
Yeah,
clinic.
another
It's still there now.
Yep.
So like, I got on that, and instead of just being on heroin,
So
you know.
HSE, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was me, and I was just on the methadone for a while, but then it intensified. Then
When was that? In the early 2000s?
oh no, that was
2010s?
no, I think it was like 99
Okay, right.
maybe.
So you came in front of Judge Gillian Hussey. What was the outcome of that first encounter?
I got a suspended sentence because I got onto a treatment program.
Yeah, brilliant. So Gillian, what are the factors there that it sounds like you were able to apply some sort of compassion and think holistically to the outcome that ultimately what organisations are trying to achieve? They're trying to think of...
Well, first of all, as Ruthann says, the amount of treatment centres was that much.
Say that again?
The amount of treatment centres available at
Yeah.
that stage was about that much.
Wow.
And it was very, very sad
Yeah.
because I had no say over so much because there was nothing there to send them to.
Yeah.
But I do remember that place on Amiens Street. I'd never in it, I must say. But I tried as best I could. But there was nobody there. Now, I used to go around a couple of treatment centres where they had resident people, and I would visit there on a regular basis. And it was actually through one of those that I went down, and I discovered that they had no treatment centre for men to go to, resident treatment centre for men to go to. And it was because of that I said what I said. But I have to say, I was well retired. That was what, 2008, was it?
Well, it's
10?
2000. Oh no, it's before 2006, I'd say.
No, it wasn't. Oh, no.
Because we bought Tiglan in 2008.
Well, I'm sorry, but I reckon it was 2010, but you said it was 8.
Yeah, because we bought Tiglan in 2008.
Yeah, well, you bought it only days after
Probably so.
I made the comment I made with this other Gillian, whom I met only a couple of weeks ago. And she turned out to be a wonderful girl and a wonderful mother of 4.
And I remember when she made that comment at the Clontarf Castle, she, I was doing a charity auction, and I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know much about drugs. I knew about alcohol addiction. And Gillian Hussey, the judge, came up afterwards, and she had the reputation, you know, she was tough. A Rottweiler would have been friendlier. So she came up to me afterwards and she just said, may I tell you, young man, you're the rudest person I've ever met. Make sure you never lose that talent. And then she walks off. So I was like, is that good or bad? So after that, we became the best of friends. And then she started to, like, for example, Edie, who's sitting here, Edie's family members who would have appeared before Judge Gillian are now friends with Judge Gillian.
And you know what? I always remember, because everybody knew who Hussey was. Everybody. And I remember, because I used to be up in the court a few times, but I was up in Kilmainham Court, and all you hear was, you're up against Hussey? Oh, good luck to you, you're going down. And I remember walking into the court, and I seen Gillian, and I looked at her and I went, oh my God, she looks serious. And I said to myself, I would like to be ever up against her. You just had that real, don't mess with
Well,
me.
it was extraordinary, the reputation that I developed. But, you know, it's amazing because I don't know any other judge that has many friends that has lunch or coffee or whatever with people who have gone through addiction centres.
Amazing.
Can I ask a question, Gillian? It's something I wanted to know for a while. What are judges measured on?
Sorry, what?
What are they measured on? Like, what's the metric of a good judge in your eyes?
I have no idea. No idea. I don't think I'd have ever lived up to being a good judge.
Well, obviously, we're talking here today, like so.
Yeah, but it's. It's a strange thing, but I've met, I mean, I'm still very friendly with people. Only about a month ago, I was driven to Tullamore by a man.
Sorry about that.
Paul, a man who appeared before me, God knows how many times. And we have lunch together on a regular basis. And
She was on the Late Late Show recently.
No, it wasn't on. What, with him? Was it him? Oh, it was him. Oh, yes, that was a long time ago. And I was on something else. Oh, yeah, I was on Tommy Tiernan as well. Tommy Tiernan caused me to write a book. But I had one thing that I think, when I look back on it now, because I hadn't a clue what I was doing, to tell you the truth, I was just trying to be careful.
Yeah.
Because I knew there weren't many women around and wasn't going to be a good reputation for the women. But one of the things I did was I accepted in my own self that I didn't know a thing about crime or how these people got into crime or whatever. And I went, and the structure of the probation service was different in those days. You went to what I call Little Johnny's house, the criminal's house, the little Johnny's house. The probation officer went to Little Johnny's house. Perfect. Now, if the probation officer doesn't go to Little Johnny's house, what the hell does the probation officer know about Little Johnny? Little Johnny could tell her anything, or him anything. Yeah. And I have 4 probation officers to this day that are good friends of mine. We have lunch, and I occasionally when we have lunch, I'll say, "No, this is on me." And the reason I say it to them is I still owe you that debt of gratitude. And that is for years and years and years. And they in turn brought me up to the then Governor of Mountjoy, John Lonigan. And John Lonigan was brought in, not by me, but by the people who decided I was going to write a book. And they launched my book with me and John Lonigan.
Gerry, can I just say, though, the way Gillian sees the individual before the court, she sees them, she doesn't see an addict. Okay. She sees Gillian from Ballyfermot or Jenny or Bronagh, and she sees them as a person. And I've always been astounded by that. And we'd go to a graduation at Tiglin, and I'd mention, that's Tommy Flaherty, and she'd go, "Oh, that's Timmy's son, Mary's son." She'd know all of them by name. Even one guy appeared before her one day in the court, and he told her a wonderful excuse about how he's engaged in rehabilitation in Coolmine, blah, blah, blah. She knows Coolmine like the back of her hand. She was on the board of Coolmine. She knew your mum was bluffing. So the guy appears before her, he's told a total lie to the judge. She's able to say, "Sorry, young man, you've appeared before the wrong judge today." So even the guy you've mentioned who drove her to Tullamore, he left her court one day. I think he stabbed a police officer, jumped into the Camac River. I mean, total chaos. They're the best of friends today. So it's totally an unusual territory.
See, I found the difference, even though Gillian was quite stern, for mothers and women and people in addiction. She had the compassion and empathy that other judges didn't have.
Yes, 100%. And to this day, last week, and this is a regular occurrence, I got a text on WhatsApp from Gillian, and she's asking me, "Aubrey, there's a person in trouble here, can you do something with them?" I'm like, yeah, she's 99. Bronagh deals with these individuals on the East Coast every day. So you're dealing with before the courts and all the rest. So I think it's wonderful that even the likes of you see Gillian. Did you know Gillian from the courts?
Yeah, and I can I say it's the first, you're the only judge that I've been before that I'm sitting down having a cup of tea with as well. So that's a two-way street, you know. And to me, I think it's an honour and it's a privilege, and I don't say that lightly. And it's a reflection of a changed life as well. That yes, we're sitting at a table in the house.
Well, it's changed my life as well.
Yeah,
changed my life entirely.
Yeah.
What does it feel like when you're connecting with people that you've had experiences with in the past?
I think it's wonderful. Like just to sit here with these people. Now, I don't recognise them. It's a long time ago.
Well, she's had a lot of work done.
Stay quiet.
I know he's a naughty man. Can I ask a question though about the system? Okay, like, so where are the failings within the existing system?
Well, now the failings have come since my day. I'm retired a long time now.
But let's look at the existing system. I know you might not have as much experience, but you've obviously got perspective on what's
Well,
going
one thing
wrong.
that's happened since my day.
Yeah.
I retired in April 2002.
Okay.
And since that, at some stage, I don't know at what stage, the probation service doesn't go to little Johnny's house.
Okay.
Which I think is a complete and utter. I can understand how it's happened.
What does that give the system though, by going to little Johnny's house?
Well, you go to little Johnny's house, you see what the conditions that little Johnny is living in.
Yeah.
I have one story I'll tell you.
Let's go.
I retired and I bought a new house, and I went down to one of my local stores and I filled in a form to get solar panels. I hadn't a clue what solar panels were. This is a long time ago. And I filled in this form and I said, look, get me somebody who'll come and tell me about solar panels. And a couple of days later, I got a WhatsApp telling me, yes, somebody to come on Thursday at 2:30. And then I got a phone call from the girl, and I knew she was a young girl by her voice, and she said, are you Judge Gillian Hussey? I said, yes. Oh, she said, my mother loved you. Her mother was from Ballyfermot. I got my solar panels at rock bottom price. Then, about 2 or 3 years ago, I had one of my probation officer friends text me. She's retired now. She was a hell of a lot, years and years younger than I was. And she said, somebody wants to meet you.
Yeah.
Can we have lunch? I said, yes, let's have lunch. And we set up the arrangement. And this man of 53 came in. And the first thing he said to me was, my mother loved you. He was the older, much older brother of this young girl that had said to me, my mother loved you. They were from Ballyfermot, and he had been an addict, and he was actually in Coolmine. And I had to leave Coolmine because of the story that Aubrey has just told you. Because Coolmine had allowed themselves, unfortunately, through all the wrong reasons. Lovely people, but they didn't know a huge amount in general about addiction.
Yep.
And a lot of the people on the board were parents and so on. They were trying to do the right thing and be nice and so on. But unfortunately, they met somebody that told very good lies and told them very well.
To the wrong person.
And I mean, there was no other court in the country that man could have been brought into by a young guard whom I didn't even know who the guard was, which was surprising. And I had to ring Coolmine and find out, and when I found out I said, look, I'll have to leave the board. And I left Coolmine. I still have the height of respect for Coolmine.
So one of the questions I asked earlier about, like, what is the metric, for a good judge, like how you kind of measured, and like, is recidivism part of that conversation, like reducing reoffending? Is that something that is often brought up?
I never talked to any of my colleagues much about what I did or what I didn't do.
Right.
Mainly because there were very few women, but they were just giving out to me, because they had to lock them up.
This is not the way it's done.
Yeah. So like you were ahead of your time. So like there's more compassion. I know you're saying like, you got Hussey, you're going to get sent down. That's not what I'm hearing in the full.
But nobody told me.
That they were calling you Hussey.
Or what they call me. Well, I that fucking bitch.
Didn't they write that? Do you know, Gerry? Didn't they write that in the cell underneath you?
They wrote all sorts of things.
Hussey and she was brought down to the cell to have a look at it. She thought it was hilarious. Did you have the same opinion as Edie?
Yeah. Well, I remember. You said something there a minute ago, and I just got a bit of a flashback of sitting in front of you. It was how you said things. It was a little bit terrifying. Yes. You were just firm, and I just got a visual of that there a minute ago. But like even just to see the table now at the moment and the reflection and how many other judges are doing this with people that have been through the system. And the key part here is something you mentioned about little Johnny's house. And what I believe is that kind of removes the bureaucracy and it brings in a humanitarian approach. And like and I experience it myself constantly because I'm so busy. I'm working in an area that there's a huge need, not enough resources. I'm dealing with local authorities, HSC, hospitals. Resources are stretched to the max. So my phone rings and I have a number of appointments that day and I'm like, oh no, who's this? Because I'm so busy. And when I take the call, not even going to the house, when I take the call and I hear what's going on for that person, it brings me back down to that humanitarian level and it removes the getting it done. And even going into environments, I'm careful kind of the environments I go into because I'm lone working, but I have went into many different environments. I'm sure we all have, and you'd see it in the lighthouse. I was with a client yesterday, and you know there's a lot of barriers. It's the bureaucracy trying to get this girl a bit of support. And I sat with her, and I seen an absolutely broken woman who's really trying to hold on. There's no substance misuse here, you know. It's the system that she's trying to kind of get support from, and it's not one person's fault. This is a result of people who are invested in different areas. You said earlier on something to do with I can't remember, it was something to do with
the system.
Yeah, people, but it's like you could sit at a table here, like the majority of us here, we're all invested into the same, and Aubrey's a key. You were talking about earlier on about connection, or sorry, environment, right? So the environment is a huge factor to play in not only substance misuse but also recovery, and even prison rehabilitation. It's environment, and Teaglin is a real champion for that, especially with the space they give the people when they're coming in. They have that space. Matt Agabe says connection is the opposite of addiction, so Teaglin gives them that space for that connection, and then it's when they leave it's a make or break when they leave, because then it's the system again, the resources, it's the housing afterwards, and it's environment. So they're going back into the same environment where they started in through the system in the first place. So the barriers there really need to be looked at. I'm a firm advocate for early intervention in schools. Connection again is the opposite of addiction, and even connection with the children. I done a training course there a while ago about theraplay and the importance of repair and rupture of attachments. So family attachments, when there's a rupture with a family attachment, and how it's important to repair that very quickly. But sure, nobody knows this information. You know,
the system isn't set up for it.
It's schools now. It is starting to become a conversation and a training, and there are schools certain.
How do we amplify that?
That's a good question.
But I think this is the start.
If I knew a senator, bring it. Does anyone know any senators?
But you were also saying about the recidivism. Like they have more of a punitive approach.
Still in this country.
But it's starting to become, you have so many different lived experience advocates and consultants that are in places of policy and strategy and different bail supports, that now they're starting to see that they need that rehabilitative approach. So, example, probation. I'm on their advisory panel for creating roles for people with lived experience.
It's really positive.
Now, some of probation officers, they actually go out on runs.
I met a probation officer. I was asked to open a conference in UCD, which wasn't even built in my day, and at lunchtime, these two probation officers, two ladies, appeared to talk to me, and it transpired they came from Cork and Galway. And I said, I believe the probation service has changed now since my day. And I said, you know, what happens? I said, you don't go to little Johnny's house anymore. I know. One of them said to me, I know, but I cheat. And I said, how do you cheat? She said, I take him out for coffee. And I said, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, can you imagine as somebody going to the probation officer's office
Yeah. That's
or
good.
going out for coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference for
powerful.
that child or young person,
be
it's
heard.
enormous.
So when I was part of the probation strategy, so of putting that together, and in part of it, it was like, how do they better support their clients? And these kind of things, go for coffee with them, meet them at their home, go for a run. My probation officer that I had in prison, I actually brought her back into the Dóchas last week, and she took part in the colour run that we had in there with the women,
Yeah.
and I brought in a guard that I know from Inner City Running Club, and I brought a lady that works in Department of Justice. She's also Inner City Running Club,
Yeah.
and they came in and they couldn't believe, you
Yeah.
know, the connection that they got,
sure.
because they didn't see them as probation guards or department. They seen them as human. And
Absolutely.
it was the connection.
I think
That's
what
huge.
I think that's what breaks down the barriers. Ruthann would have come to us through our homeless outreach that Gillian and myself would do. It's called a No Box. Now it's called a Lighthouse. But Ruthann was a client. She was going through a very dark period. Now I'm in Leinster House and I see her in the corridor. She knows every minister, every TD. She's an advocate for something because of her lived experience.
I really only came down because I fancied you all.
See, there we go. But I think that's what makes the difference. And I will say, and Jenny can testify for this, even our outreach, I used to bring Gillian out to the outreach, and I remember the first time I was saying, I don't know, you're the judge, you probably put a lot of these people away, I don't know if it's safe. And she said, no, I'll wear a hood or a hat. So we're walking down Talbot Street, right? And the bus is parked around the corner on O'Connell Street. And the bus is a big coach, it's got a kitchenette, got couches and the awning, and everybody comes through, feeding about 80 people a day. And next minute we're walking down Talbot Street and Gillian's there, and next minute I hear, Hussey! And I go, "Jeekers." And there's this young lad across the road, about 30, and he says, you put me away for 4 years, something like that. And she goes over to him and she says, and was I right? And he goes, yeah, I suppose you were. I totally disarmed the situation. He came to the bus. So I think one thing I have learned is there's equality. Gillian doesn't see any difference between you, me, or the fella coming to the bus, or any of the women, and we've always felt equal. And now I notice these girls are carrying on what she started, so that everybody's equal. A spread. And even Jenny, you're back in your career. This girl is a phenomenal mother, a phenomenal lady in her own career. And I'm just saying, she's an example that people can look to. I think the eyelashes are fake, but everything else is real about Jenny.
I grew them myself.
Did you? Okay, well then. But I will say, she's an example of what women need in Ireland.
Yeah. When we look at the barriers that are present in the current system, can you talk about your own experience and what those were when you came out of prison? Accessing support services and so forth. I'd love to understand a little bit more what that experience was like and how you found Tiglin and how that all kind of intersected with your own life.
Well, for me, I'm just thinking, I have never been up in front of Gillian Hussey. I haven't been in prison, but I've been a prisoner in my own mind.
Okay.
For 20 years I was in addiction, so that was
Right.
like tough enough. I
That
may
was
as
like
well
a
have been in
prison
prison.
yourself.
I was
Absolutely.
stuck in like a back box bedroom, taking drugs, like wanting to take my life every other night of the week.
Yeah.
And I have an amazing family. It was just a rejection piece on my part. As a youngest child, I just felt put out and pushed aside, and that's how I felt. So that's where I looked for love in other places and other areas, which would have been drugs, men, everything that comes with that. So between prison or being a prisoner in your own mind, it's the same thing to me.
Yeah.
So that's where my piece was, the rejection piece.
Yeah.
So to come from 20 years, I'll be 4 years free now from alcohol and drugs, and it's because of Tiglin. You know, Tiglin, well, I got brought, I was guided, God put people in my path. I don't know if this would be a faith-based thing, but He did put people in my path. I got brought to an amazing church, Liberty Church. They led me to Tiglin. Tiglin provided that space. I only went in, I worked for the HSE for 20 years, I had an amazing job, which I left. I went home for 18 months. I went to a family base in Ballyfermot, which works with a lot of kids, which helps. They do the door-to-door. They go, they visit little Johnny's house. They bring them for food. Like, I'm just listening around, and that's what you know yourself, Ruthann, from being from Ballyfermot. That's what family base does.
Yeah.
So when I was working there for 18 months, I came back on the CE. When I came home to my own daughter, I came straight home after completing and graduating the programme.
It's amazing.
I noticed that the families need support, and I was watching the kids, and I actually look at my little daughter now, and she's 12, and years ago, I used to say, "Check, you're going to have a little one like you," and it terrifies me because she has little behaviours. I'm like, oh God, please don't be like me, Mia, but it is what it is. But she got Terra Play in Tiglin. She's doing amazing. She's thriving. She's an amazing Irish dancer. She's doing really well, but there will be little behaviours there.
Yeah.
But I continue to work on that. So what I do today for myself, it helps her. So if I do the right thing today, she's good today. Do you know that kind of way? So I came back down to Tiglin, and that's how I came into family support.
Okay. Is anyone here with any children that maybe went into prison? I'd love to understand the perspective.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I'd love to understand that perspective.
I know a girl, and you all know her too.
Just on that,
1987.
1987.
I was only really in my infancy learning myself, and I was down over in the Bridewell. I think it was in the Bridewell. No, it must have been up in Kilmainham. This young girl, she was 21 or 22 in Ballyfermot. Now when I went on the bench in 85, I didn't know where Ballyfermot was. So I learnt a lot between that and 1987. I knew where Ballyfermot was. And this young girl anyhow, she stood there and she was charged with having €300 worth of cannabis. And I said to the solicitor, I am not taking this case. She pleaded with me. I said, I'm sorry, I am not taking this case. It's going to the circuit court, where she'd get a much heavier sentence. And because of that, then we had to give her a remand, and she had to have a book of evidence served and so on. Her father then went to the solicitor and said, what will happen to her when she goes to the circuit court? The solicitor said, she'll get a sentence. So anyhow, she got the book of evidence. And when the book of evidence was served, the father took her off to England to work with him. And the book of evidence came before the circuit court, and there was no sign of her. Anyhow, warrant issued, and she eventually finally appeared. And the next time I met her was in Tiglin.
She's doing amazing.
She's doing amazing. An amazing lady.
Yeah.
An amazing lady. And I have only yesterday I sent her a text actually, and we're going to hook up. She's now working in Rialto. Mm-hmm. And one day there was a launch in Tiglin in one of the premises in Greystones, and the President of Ireland and his wife were there. Beautiful sunny day during COVID, and we were outside, and I was sitting at the end of this steps. I was sitting on a chair, and the President and his wife came down, and they stopped to talk to me. And this lady working for Tiglin took a photograph, and she sent it to me on my phone, and she said, "You're our queen."
Mm. And it shows the President and his wife and walking by, and Gillian Hussey sitting, and both of them are paying homage to her. Brilliant photo.
I think I've seen the photo.
Have you seen it?
I think I've seen it online when I was researching.
Mm-hmm. But your question was, have you had children?
So people who've got children, I'd love to understand their perspective. If you're dealing with men and you're also dealing with women, okay, what role, how does it shape the outcome if somebody who's in front of you has a child? Like, what does it look like if they're sent to prison? Like, what services are there?
I didn't have that.
You don't have the information?
I had no information, and it's really only since I've got friendly with Ruthann on LinkedIn
Yeah.
that I have discovered the fears, the horrors.
Yeah.
You see, because I didn't put too many people in prison,
Okay.
and certainly women, I didn't put a lot of them in prison, but I might have put them in for a week or two. Mainly no. But if you don't put people in prison, it doesn't occur to you.
Yeah.
But I never understood the things that she has come out with on LinkedIn. Yeah. And it really terrified me.
Sure.
How would I know if she's going into prison at 17 or 18?
Yeah. You don't have the full picture, that's what
but if I ask her, is she pregnant? None of my business really, for starters. But she mightn't know. Or she mightn't want to share it with me.
I
don't think so.
Can you tell us your experience of...
So, like, something that we're massively trying to change at the moment is when, I suppose, criminal justice system, it was based on a male, like, women didn't really go to prison. So everything was designed gender specific for male.
It was designed for men.
So it wasn't designed for women. So all the programs, everything is male based.
Yeah.
So, like, when I went in, like, my first night in there, I sobbed my heart out
You
because
had a child at this time?
I had 3 children.
Right, okay. At what ages were those children?
So, I'm trying to think now. Well, one is 26 now, one's 20, one's 19, and then I have a 9-year-old.
I only thought you had a little girl.
No, everybody does think that. But I had the 3 of them, so they ended up going into care with my mum.
Okay.
But this is where the system kind of fails. They don't take into account that the person loses their home, the person loses their kid, Tulsa gets involved, they lose their education, they lose the support systems that they have, and them support systems don't come in. They lose, like, so I go into prison today, my clinic isn't contacted till the following day. Like, if you're in court at a certain time, your clinic often isn't open that morning. So you're getting drugs to go to court with you. Like, sorry
So
to
when
say,
you were in
but
custody with the guard with you, you'd have drugs on you.
oh, I was well packed.
Is that the term? Wow.
So what happened? Can we talk a little bit more? Again, like, it's like you don't want to discuss it any further. I completely understand, but
so,
what
like,
was it like when you went to prison? Like, what happened to your children? Like, who supported you? through
my
that?
mum, I was lucky, but a lot of women don't have that. A lot of women, their kids are gone into care.
The Irish mammy.
So I was pretty lucky that my mum and her husband became guardians and full-time foster carers for my 3 children. I was there for nearly 4 years. So
We used to go in and out. I used to meet her in prison.
no,
as
he
well.
used to go into Catherine Evan. Sorry, he didn't come into me.
She used to fancy me. But what was fascinating...
Me or Catherine?
Both of you. But Gerry, do you know what was fascinating? I saw women who should never be in the prison system being involved. Edie, just not to take the story away from you, but Edie was 8 months pregnant. She was living in chaos, in marginalisation. She'd no TV licence. They arrested her and took her in. 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, they took me in. I nearly had a heart attack. And I was living in Dolphin's Barn at the time, right? So you had flats there, flats here. Everybody see it knows, everyone's business. And they pulled up in the car and I went, will you go around the corner and I'll get in around the corner? Because I was so embarrassed. Yeah. And he said, no, you have to get in now.
8 months pregnant?
Yeah, I went in and I got...
in prison?
No, I was only there for 3 hours, thank God. Because it was a fine, do you know what I mean?
You had a baby in prison?
I carried my child, I got out 14 days before.
And you had the baby in prison and then...
No, I had her, they released me 14 days before.
So your whole pregnancy was in prison?
Yeah.
See,
I remember meeting you in the garden in the front. It's mad.
I didn't...
You were sent in by the circuit court.
Yeah, but I didn't go into prison pregnant. I got out on a weekend.
Right.
And what happened? Anyway, Aubrey.
Met Aubrey and came back pregnant. And came back pregnant, but I had to hide it for 3 months. And then I bled and I had to let them know. And I got, I was supposed to get community return. This was all taken from me. I used to get out to hospital appointments on my own. That was all taken from me. I wasn't allowed the father of the child come to hospital appointments or be present for any of that. So you experience this solo. And it's, you know, my family found out through a newspaper article that I was pregnant. So they stopped talking to me for months. So I was isolated. I hadn't got that support.
Yeah.
So I was very, very broken. But luckily I had women in there who support me, and I had got some of the officers who became like family that I still connect with today.
That topic is so big. It's worth having a podcast almost dedicated just on that in its own. And I'm conscious of time, and I'm also conscious of the environment that we're in at the moment, where lunches is going to start happening. I just want to wrap up with one last question for everyone at the table, and that's really around what message of hope would you share with a woman who's listening today and feels like change is possible? What would you say to other people who might be listening or are suffering at the moment with various forms of trauma? What would you say to them should be their first step?
Well, for me, because I do
your own perspective.
In addiction.
Yeah.
I would say there's a way out. There is a way out. Although sometimes we feel like there's no way out. And that's why people commit suicides, they go into deep depressions, it affects their mental health.
Yeah.
Like, there is a way out. And I love to see girls changing their life around.
Yeah.
And even when they come into the pre-entries, just giving them that hope.
Where would you direct people to if they were in that scenario?
Treatment.
Do you want to give a shout out to anyone that you recommend?
Well, Tiggle,
of course.
But you work with them all, don't you? And she works with people at the most marginalised, vulnerable. So what you do is amazing, and I will say that.
Yeah.
And I think with your lived experience, you're able to see the person where they're at.
Yeah.
She sees the woman 8 months pregnant being arrested for a TV licence that's on drugs. So
yeah, and I've been in Tiggle myself, so I know the programme.
I know.
And like when I went in, I had no idea I had stuff to work on. I thought I was just going to go in and get away with the drugs.
I know.
But then when I realised everything that I needed to work on. And do you know what? Even take the addiction away, everybody has rejection issues. Yeah. Some sort of trauma, low self-worth, loneliness, depression. Everybody does.
Yeah. Anyone else, anything else to add?
I remember when I first actually genuinely reached out for help. Help was offered to me, but I couldn't see it. I was in too much chaos. I wanted it, but there was too many barriers in the way with my own kind of cognitive dissonance. It was just, and I remember I actually went into a faith-based program initially, who signposted me then to Coolmine. And I remember the conversations that happened where we're not judging you. There's no judgment, and that was key, because your self-worth is just on the floor, literally. And anyone here that's lived experience will agree. So the key here is there's no judgment. If you reach out, there is no judgment. And we live in an area of social media and technology. If you don't know where to go, Google. Like, it's that simple. Google support services in your area. Obviously, put Tighlin in first, because they're the main point of call. You've got Tighlin, you've got Coolmine, you've got HSC, you've got local addiction teams, you've got churches, there's support groups. But if you don't, and Google, get a phone number. You can get I'm sure most of our phone numbers. You can get mine. No, you can't get it online, but you can get me through Tighlin. I'm sure you could get through to Ruth.
Yeah,
through Tighlin,
Jenny. Online.
Yeah, brilliant.
So the information is there. If you can't meet a person to give you that information, Google is a good starting point. And
can I just say, if there is any barriers, the reasons why people say, no, I can't go into treatment, because, like, whether it's own rent, some people even own rent.
I know,
if they're going to be nearly evicted, that'll stop them from going to treatment. That's where you come in.
Yeah, they call me then.
Yeah.
So for me, like, don't fear having to go through the pain. Don't fear having to reach out to someone. And also, like, your past does not define you. Yeah. So don't live in that past. Yeah. A lot of the times people are afraid to get to know themselves, and afraid to, like, they use the drug as a safety blanket, as that crutch. Let that crutch fall. Release the blanket from your shoulders. And, reach out to, whether it's Tighlin, whether it's a HSE service, or anybody. Like, there's a lot of different programs out there. don't be afraid to reach out to someone for support. You know, that's taking that first step is so important, and sometimes it's often the hardest. You know, but it'll be the best journey that you will ever go on.
Gerry, can I just say, if you look around the table, what you've done today, I think you've the tip of the iceberg here. There's something special around this table, and I absolutely sense it. And for too long you've seen GAA players who have come out and talked about the recovery, mostly men. Now you've got 4 women around the table who are dynamic. One who is key in family support. One who is Edie, who is key, Jenny, family support. Edie works with people that are marginalised, pre-entry, people that are heavily in addiction. Bronagh works with people that are homeless on the streets. Ruthann works with people that are in the prison system. And I put it all down to the inspiration that Gillian Hussey led nearly 20 years ago. And I think if anything, it's a legacy, and you girls are continuing what Hussey started all those years ago. And I think it's the start of something very, very special.
Can I just add something in there, because I didn't get to jump in there? For me, it would have been my pride. My pride wouldn't allow me to, especially being from Ballyferma, like a lot of people would have known me as the joker, and I was a merry drinker, but it was at the end of the night where you're at home, you're on your own, you're with the bottle and you want to just end your life, you know. But outside nobody knew that. It was all the masks, so it was like hiding it. So it was my pride. But I remember my dad was a dry drunk. He was sober for 28 years before he passed away, and I always said I do not want to turn into my dad. Did not want to, and I could see myself slowly turning into that man. Do you know, and I love my dad. It's my dad at the end of the day, but he would have put a lot of fear in my life growing up as a child. But when I had a daughter, then I was like, I don't want to put that fear into her. And that's always, they're my fears, you know, and I've learned through counselling, I can't put my fears on her, you know. So for me, it was my pride and my ego, and that's coming from a woman, you know, like, and that's what I'm now going to celebrate recovery. I'm going to a STEP programme, and it took me 2.5 years. I've done a lot through church, but you have to come to a place in your recovery where you're ready to move on to the next season.
Gerry, can I just mention just one thing? We used a tagline many years ago, and it was Tiglin, life beyond addiction. And what I found is, you look around here, you've got the most beautiful women who actually are fun. They live lives that are exciting. Recovery can be fun, and there is life beyond addiction. And each one of you, like, we have the best of laughs. When we Edie and myself did a TV show recently on RTE, we just couldn't stop laughing. We went into knots, you know. So, and I know each one of you have a dynamic personality, and I think recovery should be about fun, should be about life. And so well done, and thanks a million for all of you for doing what you do.
Can I just add at the end of that, that with women, there's a lot more stigma and judgment attached. That's why you don't see as many women putting themselves out there. But today I'm honoured and full of gratitude to sit amongst these women and this feminine man here.
Is it okay for people to reach out to you? Do you, like, are you all on LinkedIn or people to connect with you and like and follow up with the story?
Do you know, I was just on the main street in Ballyferma there, and I was in the shop, so I was dropping my daughter up to her dancing, and 2 girls that came to me from my past, which I wouldn't have had a great relationship with, which would be probably triggers of my past. And they came and they're coming to the meeting tonight. Because I put it up, I'm not on social media, I'm only on WhatsApp. And they came to me and they said, Jenny, we want to go because you went away, you've changed. And sometimes I don't see that I've changed, but people see that you've changed. And see when you go home and you've changed and nothing else has changed at home, that's the word. But for people to see that you've changed, and it's great, I'm gonna, like, it will probably form a new relationship. And I wouldn't have spoken to these for about 20 years, so this is what it's all about. It's about change, and
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you for everyone for coming here today. I wrap up every episode on This Is 8 City.
I'm still waiting on my coffee.
By thanking people for their vulnerability, because I know, like, it is a vulnerable state when you've been asked questions on the spot. And you've got cameras and you've got mics and all of this kind of stuff sitting around. So thank you so much for allowing us to peek into your lives.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
10x your service design offering with Smapley. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smapley.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smapley, helping support This Is HCD podcast.